Hi, it's Alison Marlowe here with another Global Winning Women live chat, and shortly I'll be introducing you to Holly Worton. But first, I'm so excited because we're going to be covering two of my favourite topics on this call, connection and time. And like most of us, we're continually working on ourselves, and one of my big learnings for this year, so far this year, is about my relationship with time. And of course, we can read all the books that are available to us about how we manage our time. But essentially, how we interact with time is based on experiential learning. So I'm really excited about that. And looking at this topic has certainly thrown up some interesting learnings for me, to say the least, over the last few months. And, time is both our limitation and our opportunity. So I'm really, really excited, and I'm also curious to hear what Holly has to share, and also about connection. It's not a coincidence, really. Holly and I both share a gift of connection and are both passionate about building relationships. It's something that comes naturally to both of us. We're both absolutely fascinated by people, and, just naturally we see common connection points between people. And the way Holly typically does this is through social media. And as she says, it's one of the best ways to connect with others and to build your tribe. So a little bit about Holly. Well, Holly helps people just like yourself to make sense of social media. Over the years, it's just become more and more mainstream, and it can become a little bit confusing and chaotic, and it's not easy to keep up with all the different platforms out there and all the changes. So Holly is our expert in really helping you build your online platform and use this as an essential tool to get more clients. I'm just thinking what else I want to tell you about Holly, because I know that I want her to share with you as well, and I don't want to take the limelight away. But what I will say, back in 1999, Holly left grad school to start a business with a business partner, eventually creating 3 boutique eco-hotels and a holistic spa. And the spa provided services to all 3 hotels. That sounds absolutely amazing. I'd love to hear more about that sometime. But despite the fact that Holly's self-taught in marketing, which I think is absolutely amazing, although I will caveat that with the fact that it's not so surprising in this day and age, because more and more women are finding the way to make things work for them. Holly found that it was the online marketing that worked best for her. And once social networking sites got started, she rapidly adopted social media as a vital part of her marketing strategy. And, I love this story of how what goes before always leads us and sets us up for what we are doing today. So something else about Holly, she also has another business, Tribal Publishing. So all her online marketing and social media skills really do come together very beautifully. And lastly, before I bring Holly onto the call, I wanted to mention that Holly is also our newest Winning Women ambassador, running her meetings in Surrey. So if you're in the Surrey area, or if you know anyone who is, then make sure that you connect with Holly. So Holly, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Hi, how are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, and I'm really, really excited to be talking to you, just as I am everybody. But, today, as I said in the introduction, these are 2 of my really favourite topics. So, where did your passion come for social media, for business, and why also are you so passionate about it?
That's an excellent question. I think it stems from the fact that, as I said in my previous business, all of our marketing, or most of our marketing efforts were online marketing. So it was, either pay-per-click ads. We got 80% of our occupancy directly through our website. And, of course, we were driving traffic to the website through advertising and, later social media. So that was, I saw in that business over the 10 and a half years that I ran it, how powerful online marketing was, and then social media once social media came around. So it's something that I just saw that it worked. I saw the results from it. And also, I'm a huge introvert, so I've always found it a lot easier to kind of network and get to know people online as opposed to offline. So the whole Winning Women group has been kind of a new thing that I've added to my mix, just because I've realized that I do need to kind of get out from behind my computer screen every once in a while. It just comes naturally to me. I find it to be really easy, and I absolutely love it. And I think it's just such a great way to connect with people all over the world, and it just makes it so easy to do that.
I totally agree, because I remember when I first set up in business, for me a decade ago, and social media was just beginning to come about. I can remember, first hearing about Facebook and Twitter, and thinking, oh my gosh, what's this? Something else to learn. But one of the first realizations that I had was that there had been people that I had seen who had websites, for example, in the States, and there was no way of really connecting with those people in those days. I mean, you could email them, but whether you got a response or not, was here or there. But once these sites became available, and it was just so much easier to be able to access somebody, have a conversation with somebody, write a comment on their page, and really engage. And to me, that was the really, really exciting thing. I'm really big not only on the connection, but the whole engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you found that too, but that was the bit that I really kind of had a wow moment over. And it still excites me now. We can be connected with people. I'm sure it's really changed the whole 6 degrees of separation theory. But it's absolutely remarkable that you can literally just switch on your laptop or, even through your mobile phone these days and connect with people anywhere, and people of great influence as well.
Yes. I totally agree with what you say as far as having reduced those, 6 degrees of separation. I think most people are saying it's more like 2 or 3 degrees at this point.
Absolutely. And, I think I may need to test that at some point. It would be a fun challenge. So tell me a little bit about, the social media. I'm really interested in going back to the beginning, when you were working in your previous business. What social media platforms were you using? Were you right across the range? And obviously there wouldn't have been as many then.
No.
Or were you really focusing on maybe just utilizing one or two very effectively?
I would say we were using YouTube quite a bit because, of course, the visual aspect of any kind of hospitality company is very, very important, because people want to visualize what it's going to be like when they go to that hotel or that spa and what kind of experience they're going to have. And Facebook as well. So I would say both of those were sites that we really adopted early on and started using to connect with our ideal guests.
Wow, this is really, really exciting. So I'm just, I know that you work with coaches. I know that you work with solopreneurs, holistic practitioners. So a lot of these people are individuals as opposed to big corporations.
Yes, most definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And I realized that was the group that I wanted to work with, because when I moved here to the UK, I trained as a coach and I trained as an NLP practitioner, and previously I trained as a Reiki practitioner and also do Psych K. So I've trained in a bunch of these things, and I really, really like alternative therapies and, of course, coaching, and I just love that whole world of treatments and therapies. And so these are the business owners that I really wanted to focus on helping, because I think that they make such a huge difference in the world by helping individuals, and I wanted to just help them help more people.
Yeah, and you're so right, because there are so many people out there, and obviously, with Winning Women, we're focusing on women, but people generally with these most amazing gifts that they have been given, and we can't keep those gifts within inside us. They've got to get out. We've got to get our message out somehow, and social media is an amazing platform to do that. But why social media? why is it so important for I want to say women, and I do apologise if I do say women in the context of this call, but I think it's just that I'm just so used to saying that. So why is it
particularly with women? So
oh, okay. So why is it so important for solopreneurs to be on social media, other than the fact that it is a platform?
Well, it makes it very, very easy for them to connect with their ideal clients, particularly because it's so easy to identify people online, whether or not they're your right client or not, simply because it makes it easy to search for people and connect with people. And if you do any kind of social media advertising, for example, Facebook advertising, it's so easy to target the right people for you and your business. So I would say that's the main reason, just because it makes it easy to connect, and it makes it easy to connect with specifically the right people for you.
So I wonder if you'd be willing just to share a few very simple tips. We have women who join us on these calls. Some have been in business for years and years and years, and some are very, very new to business. And personally, I don't think it matters where we are. It's always good to go back and review these things and bring some of the knowledge that we have at the back of our mind back to the front. So, I just wonder if you have any tips, because I've been guilty of this. I've gone onto social media and I've literally signed up for everything, all the different platforms. And I suddenly find myself in all these different groups thinking very much that, there just might be somebody out there that might be interested in what I do, how we can serve them, But what I've done is I've really, and I'm not talking about now, but in the past, really, really spread myself too thinly. I wonder if you have any tips around just something really simple about managing that.
Yes. It's an excellent question. So often people come up to me and they say, oh, you'd be really proud of me. I'm on every single social media site. And I hear that so often. I just think, you know what, I'm so not proud of you because you're not being effective if you're on every single social media site. I am on all of the major sites because that's my business. I have to be there because I have to be able to know how to teach people to use those sites. But I do not advocate trying to be everywhere at once, because you'll waste too much time, and social media is not your business. It's my business. So very, very important to, first of all, get really, really clear on who you are as a business owner and as an individual, and what makes you unique. If you're a life coach, working with busy women, professionals, for example, there's some way that you work with these women in a different way than someone else might. So there's something about you and how you help people that makes you different and unique, and you really need to tap into that, because you need to stand out online. Everyone is using social media now for business, so you need to make sure that you don't blend in with the crowd, that you really express who you are and what makes you different, so that your ideal clients can recognize that and connect with you or not. The next important thing is to get really, really clear on who your ideal client is, and so you can find them online when you're searching for people to connect with. Ideally, you want to be connecting with your ideal clients and your ideal joint venture partners. So again, you need to know who these people are so that you can know how to connect with them online, because oftentimes entrepreneurs just feel like they have to rack up the numbers, get more Twitter followers, get more likes to the Facebook page, and they just connect with all kinds of people. And oftentimes these are people who are not at all interested in them or their business. They just, do the follow back thing, which so many people often do. But it's so important to connect with the right people on social media. It's better to have a small following of people who are really engaged and who really love what you do, rather than a lot of people who just really couldn't care less.
I'm so glad you said that as well, because I think society has kind of conditioned us to really look at the numbers. You must be doing really well, you've got X amount of followers or whatever. But I absolutely love what you're saying. It's so much more important, about the quality of the relationships that you're building, and people are engaging with you.
Yes, exactly.
You get lost in the crowds, can't you, otherwise?
You can. That's why it's so important to do this foundation work of saying, who am I, what makes me different, who are my ideal clients, and most importantly, where are they online? Because your ideal clients and your ideal joint venture partners are already hanging out online. So you need to go in the places they are already spending time. So you need to actually sit down and do the research and look and see which social media sites these people are using, and focus just on the top 2 or 3 social networks and forget all the rest. You can always add new social networks to the mix later on, but just forget everything, drop everything, focus on 1, 2, or 3 social networks where you think your ideal clients are spending most of their time. And you need to do the research to figure this out, of course.
Okay. So you wouldn't necessarily advise anybody that you must be on, for example, Facebook, or you must be on Dig or something like that.
No.
You find it's best that people kind of do that research and find that out for themselves.
Exactly. You need to do the research. You need to figure that out, but you also need to use the social media sites that you love. So if you determine that your ideal clients are using Facebook and they're also using Twitter and they're also using Pinterest, but you hate Twitter, for example, don't force yourself to use Twitter. Focus on Facebook and focus on Pinterest because you know your ideal clients are there, and just let Twitter go for now. Maybe you can bring it back, try it in a few months, 6 months, 10 months, and see whether your attitude toward it has changed. But don't force yourself to use a social network if you absolutely can't stand it, or if you just don't feel right about using it for any reason, because your engagement on that social network will be awkward and strange, and you just won't end up connecting properly with people because you won't be enjoying the experience.
That sounds awesome. What great advice. Oh, it's really, really exciting. So one of the things that I'm thinking very much around social media, it can be so time-consuming. I know sometimes that I will do some of my business in the morning, and then I'll log on to, because I use Facebook as my main platform, log on to Facebook and have a very quick look through messages, notifications, go in and make the posts that I want to make. And then before I know it, I've kind of like, oh, what am I doing over here? How did I get there? So it can be potentially very, very time-consuming. And I just wondered if you had any guidance to give us, Holly, in as much how much time should we as business owners spend on our social media?
Well, I recommend that people spend no more than 5 to 10% of their time on social media. So calculate how many hours a day you work, how many hours a week you work, and then calculate 5 to 10% of that. Block that time into your calendar so that you've actually, made time to do this, and then set yourself a timer. And when the timer goes off, you force yourself or you train yourself to get off social media. Now, of course, that means that you need to be really, really focused in how you're using social media. I also recommend using this time just for social media for business. If you want to use social media for personal use, do that at another time. But when you're doing social media for business, just focus on your business. Plan what you're going to do. Plan your strategy. Get clear on what you're going to do. You're going to go in, you're going to check Twitter. You're going to do, check your list, check your, top messages, respond to people, that kind of thing. Make a list of your top tasks for each social network and make sure that you can go through those tasks each day in the time that you've allotted. Now, if you feel like 5 to 10% of your time is just not enough and you absolutely need more, then perhaps you need to change your strategy and start outsourcing more of what you're doing. Either automate it, schedule some tweets to go out, or schedule a post to go out, and you can have a VA do that. Now, I do think that when it comes to conversation and engaging with people, that absolutely has to be you. Otherwise, that's just not authentic, and I do not advocate that at all. But if you created, images with quotes or suggestions or tips or things, you can most definitely have a VA schedule those out to go out, on your Facebook page or on Twitter or Pinterest or whatever the social networks are that you use. So again, if you feel that you absolutely need more than 10% of your day on social media, you need to change the way you're using social media and outsource more of it.
Wow. Great tips. And, thank you for refreshing me as well. I just think this is absolutely fabulous. So I have a couple of questions that are just sort of coming up from this. Now, I know that social media can be a little bit addictive. And there's also this whole, the fear of missing out. So, I better just check my messages on Facebook or Twitter, or, must just check the feed. And I kind of have a question around weekends, because I think business is changing dramatically. I personally don't post anything business-wise during the weekends, but I do post personal stuff during the weekends. I just wonder if there are any kind of guidelines around that, or is this one of the things that we can do as we please these days?
I think you can do it as you please. I mean, I personally do not turn the computer on the weekends. It stays off, and I usually do not check social media at all on the weekends, just because that helps keep me fresh for actually working during the week. I found that when I get kind of, break the rules and check things a little bit, on Saturday and Sunday, then I just don't have the focus, and I don't have the attention span to get things done during the week. So I found that for me, the best thing is to just turn off the computer on Friday, and I don't turn it on until Monday morning, and that really helps me do the things that I need to do Monday through Friday. But again, that's me. Different people have different tactics. I'm sure some people would find it more beneficial to do a little bit every day. Everyone needs to go with what works best for them.
Thank you for sharing, and I may take a leaf out of your book there. But I know, one of the reasons that I asked this question as well, because when I think back to when I first started in my business, it was absolutely a no-no to send a newsletter out at the weekend. And nowadays, I see a lot comes in over the weekend. I don't check my emails over the weekend, but I do have some personal fun on Facebook at weekends. So that was what was prompting that particular question. The other question I was just thinking about very much is, again, I'm focusing very much on Facebook, but I have a question around the personal page and business pages, and how much, what the proportion that we should be spending our time in sort of promotion, personal use. I just wonder if you had any tips around that, any guidelines. I know a lot of people worry when, they know they've got this message, they know they need to get it out, but they don't want to be perceived as constantly promoting themselves. I mean, I have a slightly different view to that. I mean, if you've got an offer, the amount of people that see our posts these days it feels very much as if it's decreasing. So, we need to be consistent. But I just wondered, any views, any thoughts around that?
Yes. Well, as far as your Facebook business page, it depends on everyone. It depends on the people that you've connected with. It depends on whether you've connected with people mostly in your time zone or with people all over the world. I have been trying to post about 3 times a day on my Facebook page usually, because I'm connected with people in different parts of the world. So I need to make sure that I'm showing up in people's news feeds at different times of the day. So I usually try to do a morning, midday, evening kind of post. But again, that depends on everyone and everyone's connections. I usually recommend doing 80% content posts, so whether that's useful tips, videos, just useful things that can help people, and then 20% sharing about my stuff, whether it's a new product or a service that I'm offering or things like that. And I also I'll try to add within that 80% other people's content. So I share other posts and things that I've found around from the internet, because it's useful, it's interesting to the people who are following me, and it also helps people out. So that's how I try to mix things up.
I love that, and thank you so much for sharing, Holly. Could I just probe a little bit deeper on that one? Do you share any personal stuff on your business pages as well? The reason I'm asking is I learned quite a few years back now that when I started bringing more of a personal aspect into my business, I found people were engaging with me more. So that's the reason behind my question. Or do you stick purely to business?
I think, it depends on every individual and everyone's business and everyone's personal style. But I do agree that adding some personal updates and mixes and things that are maybe vaguely related to your business, but just shows that more personal side of you. I think that could be really, really beneficial. Instagram, for example, I use primarily for personal reasons. As you know, I like to go on walks in the countryside, and so I always use my Instagram profile to take photographs and share with people. And those posts also go out to my personal Facebook profile. So people can see that personal side of me on whether it's my Facebook personal profile or my Instagram. And then Facebook I tend to use more for business stuff. Twitter's a mix, but mostly business. So I use different social networks differently. But I do definitely share that personal side of me on certain social networks.
And do you have a favorite platform yourself?
Oh, that's a great question, and it's something that constantly changes. I mean, there are times when I get really, really into Facebook, and there are times when I'm really, really into Twitter, and then there are times when I'm really into Pinterest or Instagram or YouTube. It really depends, and I go through phases with every social network. I really enjoy all of the ones that I use. I do not. The only one that I kind of force myself to use is Google+, just because I do not enjoy that one, but I use it because I know it is useful and it's beneficial, even though a lot of my ideal clients aren't actually engaging over there. But yeah, I do enjoy everything that I use, and I go through phases with.
I was just curious. I was just curious. And I'm sure, as you said, we don't need to be on all the platforms. No. However, we kind of need to just tinker with them a little bit to find out what resonates with us, what we enjoy, and what kind of results that we're receiving as well.
Yes.
So I kind of want to... Sorry, carry on.
Sorry. No, that's definitely part of the research that you need to be doing when you're reevaluating your social media strategy. So when I talk about, looking for your ideal clients and joint venture partners and where are they online, that's when you need to go kind of into each social network and tinker around and look for these people and see how, whether it works for you or not, and whether your ideal clients are there or not.
That's brilliant. That is really, really brilliant. And I'm just going to throw into the equation right here and right now, because I think it's the pertinent time to do so. If people are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm on social media, but I don't have a strategy, Holly, you're somebody that can really help with that. Where can people come and find you? What's the best way to connect with you? Is it through social media or is it through your website?
Well, my website if you want to read about me, but if you want to actually connect with me, social media is ideal, and I'm on, all the major social networks. So I do have a 90-minute free social media training on my website that people can access if they want just, the basics and to kind of get a feel of, what they need to be thinking about as far as planning their strategy.
Okay, and that's www.sociallyholistic.com?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and we'll make sure that the link goes out when we send the recording of this call out as well, so that people can actually literally just look you up and find out more details about that. So I'd just like to talk a little bit more about using our time on social media, because running a business, there's so much that we could be doing every minute of the day. One of the things that I see quite often, people moaning and complaining about all the changes in the different social media platforms, and gosh, how do I keep up with this? So that kind of spurs my next question, really, which is, how can people stop wasting time on social media?
Well, again, to me, it all goes about having a plan, knowing what to do, having those clear activities and tasks, and sticking to a schedule, and just being focused on doing what you can do in the time that you've allotted. And as far as the updates and being concerned about the updates, often they're very minor changes. I'm constantly staying on top of those, and I'm always tweeting out, new articles that discuss that, or writing my own blog posts about changes, or creating videos to show people how things have changed.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I know people.
It's my job to stay on top of that.
Of course it is. Absolutely. And I think one of the most prominent things that throws people out is when, for example, on Facebook, when the timeline changes and everything's moved around, and we're creatures of habit, aren't we? We don't like change too much. We just get used to something. But from a business point of view, I understand why it's happening as well. So, but I was just really, curious if there were any tips around wasting your time. And I think also it's about, as you said, it's about getting clear what your plan is going to be. I typically, I do have a plan, but there are times where intuitively I like, just need to post this as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure we're all the same, and it can't wait till the next day or something when I'm supposed to be back online. I'm just like, no, right now. And quite often, those are the posts where I get the most engagement.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think it's heartfelt. I think your knowledge and your wisdom around this is absolutely spot on. And I just want to caveat that with, it's great to have a strategy, but it needs to be your strategy. So if you feel very much as if, oh my gosh, I wanted to post this, but I can't because I've used up my 10% of my time today, that's okay. We give you permission to.
Yes, of course. One post isn't going to make the day a waste of time. So yeah, definitely.
Well, as I said earlier, that there is so much that we potentially, need to be doing in our business as well. And social media is a big part of that these days, isn't it? There's a lot more we can do on social media that we previously, needed to do offline. But I really like the guideline that you gave around, 5 to 10% of our time. That is really constructive. And I think if people, as you suggested, sit down and look at how many hours per day they're working, and work that 5 to 10% out from there. That gives a good guideline. I think that's a good parameter, isn't it? Because I think one of the things that is so important in business is setting up boundaries. One of my things very much in the past, and it's something I'm still learning, it keeps coming back up for me, and that's about not leaking my time and my energy to things that aren't actually necessarily relevant today. For example, in the past, somebody's asked for some help. I would have jumped, and I would have been there right there and then. And I still, give as much help and support to other people. What I've learned is sometimes it's not always in my best interest for my time and my energy to do something right there and then. And that could cut into your 5 to 10%. So, thank you. I think, for me, that has just been massive, that whole piece. I kind of knew it in my head, but choosing not to apply it. So that's certainly something I will be taking from this call. Oh, goodness me. So, have I asked you about tips for wasting time online? We've kind of covered a lot of that, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah, I think we really have. That was one of the other things that I had written down here. But anything else that you would like to share with the audience? You've got the opportunity here, Holly.
Again, it just goes back to me getting those foundation steps done. So just getting clear on who you are, who your ideal clients are, where they're spending time online, and then creating a strategy based on that information. Again, if you don't have a plan, social media is just so easy to waste time. So you absolutely need to know what you're doing and prioritize what you're doing. You also need to get clear on your objectives. What do you want to get out of using social media for your business?
And I think a lot of us, I think that's a challenge a lot of us probably, is a question that a lot of us probably have not taken the time to fully explore.
And I just saw someone asking today in one of the groups that I belong to, how to track, what metrics to track. Should they track likes and followers and fans and that kind of thing? And those are usually considered vanity metrics because, they look good, they make you feel good because you've got the numbers. But what you need to be focusing on are real business results. So do you want to be driving traffic to your website? Great. You need to be tracking how many people are coming to your website from Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, or whatever social networks you're using. Do you want to drive signups to your mailing list? Fantastic. How many new signups are you getting on a daily, monthly basis to your mailing list? Are you trying to, get signups to an event or to a program or to get people to purchase something? You need to be tracking the results of how many people are making those purchases based on, they come to you from social media. And sometimes that's easy to track and sometimes it's a bit more difficult, but you always need to be focusing on solid business objectives. Social media is about building relationships and connecting with people, but connecting with them for a purpose. Ideally, you either want to, form a joint venture partnership with them or you want to, track them as a client. So you need to be focusing on those business results and tracking those.
Oh, Holly, I'm so glad you mentioned this because, there's a very famous saying, what you measure grows.
Yes.
And, not only that, I think as heart-centered entrepreneurial women, some of this that we're talking about today can kind of feel a little bit off. It's perhaps something that we are not really in our flow with, but yet it's so incredibly important. I just wonder, I don't want you to give all your secrets away, but can you just give us a little inkling how we may track some of these figures that you're talking about here?
Yes, definitely. Well, for example, if you're using Facebook ads, and Facebook ads are very, very powerful if they're set up correctly, you really need to either learn how to use them yourself or hire someone who's specialist in that. But you can create these Facebook tracking pixels and insert this code into your website so that you can generate, for example, you can show ads to people who have already visited your website. You can use these Facebook ads to promote signups to your list or to purchase things. And when people get to the thank you page, you insert that code in there so you can clearly track how many people have gone from the Facebook ad to either signing up to your list or purchasing your product. So it's very, very clear to track those things, especially if you're using Facebook ads. But again, you just need to figure out what it is that you want to track and look at those numbers. Again, some things that aren't as easy to track, but a lot of them are. Okay, and, because I don't want to overwhelm people on the call, but I think we've touched on something here that is incredibly, incredibly important. So as a kind of, to wrap this up, if people are just suddenly thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not tracking anything. I'm having great fun on social media, but I'm not tracking anything. But actually, I'm taking my business seriously. I do need to track things. What is the very, very first step that they need to take? Other than connect with you. The very first step is to stop and think about why they're using social media. What do they want to get out of it? Do they want traffic to their website? Do they want signups to their mailing list? Do they want more people signing up to their products and services and things like that? What do they want to get out of social media? And make a clear list of what those main objectives are. And then start tracking those things, looking at how they can track them, whether it's just, looking at signups or creating some kind of code in their website or sales process that will allow them to clearly see how social media has led to that. And sometimes it's indirect. Sometimes people will find you on social media and follow you for months and months and months and then finally sign up to something of yours. So, of course, that's indirect and it's a bit more difficult to track. But again, you need to know what your objectives are and so you can track those numbers. That's brilliant. Oh, Holly, thank you so much. You've given us so much information, so much knowledge as we've been chatting. It's absolutely fabulous. And I'd just like to say that, anybody who has kind of had a little nudge like I have whilst we've been chatting, please do connect and engage with Holly. Obviously, I think really just if we were to do, well, I know this to be true, if we just put Holly Worton into Google, there are going to be loads of searches there. So you will absolutely find a way of connecting with Holly. Holly, this is fabulous. Thank you
so much for your time. I really, really do appreciate it. I think this is going to make a big difference to a lot of people. And, it doesn't need to stop here. As I said, you can connect and take it further. But I think the most important learning for me is not only the time one, but about the objectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's really, really, really important. So I guess, for those of us who have been running businesses for some time, a little review would go down quite well. A little bit of fun homework for people to do as well there. Go back to those questions. I think those questions, we can easily dismiss them, say, oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, I know, I know who I am, I know what makes me unique, blah, blah, blah. But actually we kind of need to review it because we're constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Brilliant. Holly, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute delight and pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me today. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Oh, lovely. And I'm sure we'll have you back again to talk about some, I don't know, I just feel as if, we've almost opened a can of worms here, Holly, that there's so much more that we could talk about as well. Thank you so much, and bye for now.
Bye.